All right, does everyone have their I'm now recording message? Cool. I asked that because one time it didn't happen and it didn't seem like the video actually recorded, and it didn't. So that's why. It looked like it was, but it didn't. So, okay, I'm going to share a different screen now that we're recording. And I'm going to say one more thing, and this is going to be the last time that you hear this, okay? If you would like to have up to two extra credit points on your final project, include the Revit table that we built in that class, okay? It is, if you did not attend the small lecture, the lecture is posted and you can learn how to build a table from that. But it does give you an extra 2 points. It's not a requirement, okay? But it will give you a couple extra points if you can follow along the video and learn to build a coffee table and end table. And I think there's a dining table in there as well. So if you use one or two, or if you use one of at least two different types, you can get a point apiece or a little extra credit. So, and that video, if you were not there that night, it was on Monday, I think let's see, let me pull up this up. I think it was February 21st. Yeah, February 21st, and I have posted the video, a link to it, and it's called Revit Revit Family Table Lesson. Fable Tamily. That'd be a good one. All right. So it is posted there. It's about a 45-minute video, I think, maybe an hour. Pretty cool. We had some fun in that class. So if you were there, thank you for joining along. If you missed it, no worries. Again, this is extra credit. Most of you here probably don't necessarily need it, but always can go above and beyond. All right. That being said, let's dive in to any questions before we dive into everything for tonight. Tonight's going to go fast. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. Okay. That being said, I think it'll go pretty smoothly. If you do have a hiccup, please let me know at the beginning of your, if you don't get something right away, let me know so we don't continue to go on and then you're just stuck and have to come back and watch the video to figure out what's going on. Does that make sense? All right.
Graham, I still have some of my measurements to put in for the just the final structure. Can I still do what we're doing tonight?
Everything that we're doing tonight, you can continue using what you've already got and continue to add to it. It's not going to affect anything. We might throw a few more dimensions on a couple of the views right now, but the stuff that you've already got is going to be there. And if you still need to add it, no big deal, right? We're just helping build the views and getting stuff on sheets. So that way next week, you can either turn in your project at the beginning. Yeah, I'm actually going to set up a Dropbox that you can submit it through. So if you want to, we can, if you don't even want to show up, I don't care. I won't be taking attendance next week. Okay. I just need the submission. So next week is going to be essentially a lab period for you guys to say, hey, I'm stuck with this. Can you, help me with this view or whatnot, or, just a working lab period to make sure all of your T's are crossed, I's are dotted. So you guys are turning in final, completed projects, right? So I'm here to help. I don't want it. So, but that's what next week's going to be. Tonight's going to be the instruction on how to do most of this. If you are struggling with any of it, please watch the video again. I highly suggest, a refresher on the video would probably solve a lot of your issues. However, if you're still struggling with something, jot it down and continue to move on with other tasks, and we can address it next week, right? So if push came to shove, realistically, I think you guys could build a project and turn it in about 2 hours. That would not necessarily be awesome, but it would meet the minimum requirements, right? So don't think there's something that's like, oh no, I can't, try to get your work done. But if you've got questions, next week is fine too, right? We'll make sure that we get through it. It's just like coming into the lab period, turning in your assignment at the very end of class, right? So, all right, I'm gonna share my screen. Share screen 1. All right, can everyone see my lovely floor plan? Okay.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, please.
How did you add more chairs to your table?
How did I add more chairs to my table? I went to edit type and I put in the number of chairs I wanted. So if I want to change that to 8 chairs, I can make that 8 chairs on that table. If I only wanted to make it 4 chairs, I could put in 4 chairs.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So that's all the family stuff that we did in that. This is a little different. It's not necessarily stretching and flexing, but same type of thing. It'll allow you to have a certain number. And I think if you just put 2, they'll go across from each other, right? So it's going to just every even number of chairs. So let's see what happens when we put 3. This will be interesting. Let's see if it actually, oh, it does. So it's going to evenly space all the chairs around that center axis, right? So, but you could put in whatever you wanted. So anyhow, but there's going to be a lot of families that may have, especially ones that are pre-built, that might, if you go into the type properties, you might be able to change some stuff and add more chairs or whatever you want, right? Any other questions? That was a good one. Okay. So let me shut that. Let me reset my screen here. Hold up just a second. Get our lesson plan for tonight up. All right. So right now we have 5 different views. Does everyone have these 5 views in their project? And it may be just called floor level 1 or floor 1. And we should have at least 1 floor plan view and 4 elevation views, right? 1 for each direction. Do we all have that? Does anyone have a lot more views than that? And if you do, that's fine. It just means you've already built either some more views or you built some section views or whatnot. So, okay. So let's start by building an enlarged view. Okay, so we're going to take this kitchen, for example, and we're going to build an enlarged view. So what that means is we're going to build a view that references another view. And right now, this view might be in, 1/2-inch scale or something, but the enlarged view could be in 1-inch scale, right? So it's going to show you this view again, but it's going to show you a closer up version of this view, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to the view tab in the ribbon, and we're going to come over and create what's called a call out. And we're going to go by rectangle. You can make a call out in any shape that you want as long as you're using straight lines. But for us, we're just going to use a rectangle. So we'll click the rectangle and then click the top left corner. And if you drag it, then you can click the bottom right corner and set a call out. Okay, so I'll do that one more time. Come up here in the ribbon tab or in the view tab in the ribbon. We'll click call out rectangle. And we're going to draw from the top left to the bottom right around our kitchen. And you'll notice that when you create this view, it automatically adds another view over here in our project browser called whatever the same view name dash floor plan. So if it was floor 1, they would be floor 1 dash call out 1, right? What is going on here? All right. So let's go ahead and open up this call out, and we can double click to open it up. And you'll notice that it's just this nice little cropped area of our kitchen. So what I want to do to start with is I don't really want to call it just a call out. I want to rename it something that actually means something to me. Okay, so I'm going to rename this and I'm going to call it enlarged kitchen floor plan. Okay. And once we have that, if we go back to the first view, you can actually, if you notice that, oh, I had, maybe too much overlap over here, or, there was something going on where it was way too big, you can always come back and grab this bubble and drag this around and reshape your call out size. So if you made it too small or too big to begin with, don't worry about that. Revit's one of those programs that it's easier to make it too big and then size it accordingly when you finally do, put your stuff together. All right. So I'm going to go to this enlarged view. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go to my visibility graphics, and you guys don't need to do this because you don't have any of these, but I'm just going to turn my rooms off. I had rooms in my project. And what are these room separators? I'm going to turn that off as well because I built these before and we don't need them. So, all right. So now we're looking at just what we see on this floor plan here, where we see an island. That's a building elevation, which I'm just going to actually delete this because we'll build our own in just a minute. All right, back to the kitchen floor plan, enlarge kitchen floor plan, and we're going to come up here and we're going to create two sections. So what we want to do is we want to create a section right now that will show us the casework, and in this instance, looking west, and the casework looking south. Your casework may be in different orientation, and that's fine. But we just want to take a section and look at the casework. So let's go ahead, and if we draw a section and we click on it and draw it, do you see that it draws anything, or does it just draw a line like this, where it just kind of draws something in the background without actually drawing a section? Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and hit escape real quick. Because we didn't see that section start to draw from the beginning, let's go take a look in our visibility graphics and make sure that our sections are turned on correctly. So you can come up to the visibility graphics button in your view ribbon, or you can hit VG on your keyboard. And let's go down into annotation categories and type in S for sections, and it will jump you down to the S's, and you'll notice that in this view, sections are turned off. Is that the case on yours as well? Okay, so we're going to get to here. Again, I'm going to hit cancel. We're going to get to here by going to in the view tab in your ribbon. We're going to go to visibility graphics, or VG on your keyboard. And we're going to go to the annotation categories, click S on our keyboard, or we can just scroll down on this sidebar, and we want to go down and we want to make sure that sections are turned on. And right now, by default, it looks like sections are off. So let's make sure that that section checkbox is on, and then go ahead and click OK. And you'll notice that I see a section show up. You guys might have that, you might not have that, I don't know. But do you guys have any sections in your projects at this point? Okay, so David's got some. Yeah, we haven't really built sections. We built a few just working sections to kind of look at some stuff, but we haven't built anything for the enlarged view. So what we want to do is we want to go and create a new section for our enlarged view. So I want to go to section, and over here it says section building section. And instead of just using a building section, I want to create what's called an enlarged section. So I'm going to click edit type. I'm going to duplicate the building section, and I'm going to rename this enlarged section. And right now we're not going to put a view template on it, but we will in a minute. So go ahead and just leave it as enlarged section. View template is none. Click OK, and it should now show section enlarged section in the properties. And if we drag from the top to the bottom, it will draw a section facing east. If we drag from the bottom to the top, it will drag a section facing west. And if you drag it with going the wrong way, don't worry, we can always flip it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and set one of these sections. So let's go ahead and make sure that we've got one section facing one direction of your cabinetry. Hopefully you've got two directions of cabinets. If not, then at least get one, okay? And if you don't have anything in there, at least get a section of this wall with hopefully a window in it or something of your kitchen area, right? All right, has everyone got a section on there? Okay. So I want to click on the section. If it's coming from blank, let's go ahead and click on the section. And I want to take this section and drag this back just outside of our building. We don't need to extend it super far out. So we just want to include this back wall in there. And that's about it. We don't need to, you know, view trees if you put trees in your yard or whatever. And once we have that view depth set, let's right click on the section and go to view. And you'll notice that we now have a section of my kitchen, and I can see some cabinets, and I can see some, you know, cabinets on the base. I got a dishwasher here, some overhead cabinets, right? And the other thing that I see is this big box around the outside. Does everyone have a box around the outside? And when you click on the box, do you get four blue nodes that show up? All right. If you do not have a box, which you definitely should, but if you don't, your crop region visible is probably turned off. Okay, so right now, the section right here is going, you know, from my cabinets here back to the wall to the south. And that's cropping this view right now. So you're not seeing anything to the right of this, and you're not seeing much to the left. And that's shown right here with this crop view. If I uncheck this crop view, it's going to show me the entire length of that. Okay. So if you've got a section that's just showing a ton and you can't figure out what's going on, come up here, click this crop region visible. When you click the bottom one, this one here, it will actually turn on the top one as well. Okay, it should have. And you want both of these to be visible, the crop view to be cropped, and then you can actually move these nodes down and in, and you can actually crop that view however you want to see it, right? So if I want to get this a little tighter, maybe I don't want to show my roof line, I can do something like that. Maybe I don't really care to show my slab, so I'll get that a little tighter right there on level 1. Does everyone see how to do that? How to change their crop? Okay, this is important because we're going to be doing it a bunch, not with just this view, but when we start placing views on sheets, we're going to want to start to understand how this works, right? One other thing that you'll notice And let's just say I have a piece of text or a tag or something in here that's an annotation. And I don't know, I'm just going to say test. Okay. And you can see that right there. But as soon as I drag it too far away, actually, right now, I can drag this anywhere I want. But if you had an annotation that was in here and this annotation crop is on, you'll also get this secondary dashed line border when you click on that view. And that means any text that you have in this view needs to be within the full boundaries of this dashed line. Otherwise, it will not show up. So if I pull that outside of there, once that hits that dashed line, that test is gone, right? That annotation is gone. You could still make it show up, and you could make it show up way out here if you wanted. You just need to either turn your annotation crop off so it's not cropping out the annotations, or expand your annotation crops to make sure that your annotations are within this dashed line. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay. So 2 different crops. You're going to be dealing with the annotation crop and the crop region visible. If neither of those are turned on, it will crop the view, but you will not have anything out here to click and stretch and actually show you where it's cropping it. Okay, so you can keep those on so when you click the view, you understand what's going on. All right, just a little bit on that. Again, it's not really a whole lot of differences, between the way the annotation crop region works, just that it always lives on the outside, and your annotations have to be fully within that. Even if that annotation crop just barely clips that T, it is now gone, right? So if for some reason your annotations disappear, that's where to get them. All right. So in this view, I'm going to go ahead and put in a few simple dimensions, okay? And I'm going to come up to the Annotate tab and use my Align Dimension tool, or DI, on my keyboard. And I want to make sure that I can build this, right? So the whole point of putting together an enlarged view is so you can call out and you can show elevations of where specific items are, right? The whole point of this project is not for you just to build a small house or a large house if you desire, but it's to hand over something that I could theoretically hand to somebody else and say, go build this, right? I can't hand a model to anybody. A model without, it's cool, you can look at it, but it doesn't serve a whole lot of a purpose for actually constructing something without the documentation to go off of it. So I'm going to get a few dimensions. So maybe I'll take a dimension of where my casework is. So this is at 3 feet, or my countertop. I'll take a dimension of where my casework top and bottom is. Okay, so that's at 4'6". Maybe I'll take a dimension of how these cabinets lay out, and then I'll take that off of the wall. So I give it an actual dimension in space, right? If I just gave it that dimension there, I understand how big those cabinets are, but I've got no idea where to place them. Right? So we need to make sure that all of your dimensions mean something, and they're not just dimensioning the items, they're also dimensioning to a specific location, right? So you want to go to a wall. If you're going horizontal, probably the ground level. If you're going vertical. Okay, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time dimensioning this, but again, look at my example packet. You can see kind of how that goes together. Last but not least, let's go ahead and come down here. We should have these sections, enlarge section. And I'm going to just go ahead and rename this section right here to enlarged. Oh, put my cap locks on. I don't care if you use caps or not. That's just my nomenclature. We always use them. So enlarged kitchen And then I typically give a direction on it. So that's enlarged kitchen and that's facing west. And then if we go back to our enlarged kitchen floor plan, we will see one section here. And we will see now that I have renamed it Enlarged Kitchen West. And that also shows up down here in our project browser. So I can do a couple things. I can create a new section. So I could come up and create a new section from the view tab and click section and create a new enlarged section. And I could create another one facing the other way. Or I can copy this section and I could rotate that section 90 degrees. And then I now have a section facing south. Whatever you want to do, I don't care. I just want another section facing the other direction. If you don't have anything on that wall, still build another section and maybe you can show a window or something. And you'll now see that if you built a new section from scratch, it will just be called like section 1 or section 2. If you copied the other one that we did, it will inherit that name and then just call it whatever that name is with a 1 at the end of it. So we can quickly rename that. So you can come over here and you can right click and rename. To rename that, you can also just click into there and it will open up an editing field so you can click in and rename. And I'm going to rename this one south. And my crop view, my depth isn't too deep, looking like that's kind of where I want to see. So let's go ahead and go to my view. So I can either right click and go to view, or I can double click over here on this new enlarged kitchen south section. And I'm now going to see my other kitchen to the south. Now, do you think we want to see these enlarged views or these section views showing another vertical section in your enlarged view, or would you like to have them removed? No right or wrong answer on here. I've seen it both ways. One of them, it just essentially references this view on multiple views. The other one, it only references your section views on the floor plan. Don't care? Okay, cool. So we're going to do a couple things and build a template for this and apply the template to both of our views. So what I want to do right now is go ahead and come to your VG or your visibility graphics. And I want to come down, the same thing we did to turn the sections on in the enlarged floor plan. We're going to do the same thing, but opposite, and turn the sections off in our enlarged section view. Okay, so we're going to uncheck that section in our annotation categories. If we click OK, we'll notice that goes away. One other thing, just because I think it would be kind of cool to see, is we can change it to different colors. And you can go back to wireframe, you can go back to hidden line, right? Whatever you want to see and however you want to portray it, I don't really care. But if you do want to see something in color, and let's go ahead and use this awesome consistent colors down here. And we will leave it like that. So does everyone have some type of a color for your section view? Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to build a template from this, and we're going to take this template and then apply it to our section view facing the other way, right? So right now, if we click on our west section, it looks like this, kind of boring. You see that section line, right? If we click on the south section, we now see the cabinetry, you see the wall, my door, refrigerator, you kind of see the different materials between the base cabinets versus the countertop, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to the View Templates button in our ribbon. So if we go to the View tab in our ribbon, over to View Templates, and we're going to do what's called Creating Template from Current View. So I want to click that lovely button. And I want to call this Enlarged Section Template. And go ahead and click OK. Now, for some reason, and I don't know why, you can't do this. You can't apply this right off the bat. However, let's go ahead and click OK again. You'll see up here the number of views with this template is 0. If we go ahead and click OK, and now come over in our properties and under identity data, there's a view template. And right now it says none. We can come select this none button and come down and choose this enlarge section template. Go ahead and click OK, and that's now applied. If you click back into that template, you'll now see this number of views with this template assigned is 1. Okay. So now that we've built a template, let's go to our west view or whatever direction that you have in your project and do the same thing, except instead of having to build the template, we're now just going to assign the template. So if we come over here to the view template and change the none to enlarge section template, and this time we can, if you move this box out of the way, and you can see what's going on in the background, you can go ahead and click apply. And you can see that section template apply. And now we have the number 2 up here with the number of views this template is assigned to. Okay. So what that does is if you change anything in the template, you now, instead of going to VG, right, or visibility graphics, you will notice when you go there, everything is now grayed out. Okay, and you'll notice that it's grayed out, and that's the first indicator that, oh, wait, it's being controlled by a template. Click on the view template here, and you get the same exact window, except it's now not blacked out, and you're actually affecting the template, not just that one view. Does that make sense? So anything that you do in this one template will affect any other view that this template is applied to. So we're going to build a couple templates tonight. One for this, we're going to build one for our exterior elevation. Okay, and then maybe one for our 3D views or something like that. Okay, so we will be using our templates. So does everyone have 2 views in their kitchen and a 3D, or not a 3D view, an enlarged plan view of their kitchen, right? And we can now see on our plan view, we now see 2 sections, one of them facing west and one of them facing south, right? Obviously, you might have different directions. All right. So let's go ahead and build a sheet and throw this view on a sheet. Okay, so if we go ahead and build a sheet, we can come down here to sheets, and there's a couple ways to build a sheet. You can right click on sheet and click new sheet. You can also, in your view tab in the ribbon, come up here and click this sheet with the, the new star on it, right? The new button. And the same thing, it'll create a new sheet. It'll bring you to this window. And I think for you guys, we only have an E1 size, a 30 by 42, which is fine. We can go ahead and just use that for all of our sheets. And I'll go ahead and just click OK. and it has now built a sheet. And it's probably going to call it like A101 on yours. I don't know what it's going to call it. But let's go ahead and name these all the same. And let's just call this sheet F. So if we click into the 107 or right here, it allows that field to be editable. You can also click in on the rename and it'll bring the sheet title window up and we can rename it. So let's go ahead and type in F for final project -101 and we'll just keep that as our first page and we will go ahead and call this 3D overview. So while we're in the sheet mode, let's go ahead and build some more sheets for this project. So let's build another sheet and let's call it first off, I guess we should do this real quick. Mine's already named, but let's go ahead and name yours. Do you have if you want to put like something here that in your, what does it say here in your first, in the title block? It probably just says like sheet title or something.
Owner.
Okay. Well, what does it say? Owner, and then it says project name. So if you want to put something in there and fill that out on your first sheet, whenever you create a second sheet, it will remember that information. So I just have sample residence, and this is project name is let's see, I'll just put this as house 2022. And then that text that we called the sheet 3D overview is right there. And then the bottom, again, F for final 101. And if you make a change to any of these at any point in the project, it should not necessarily, let me rephrase that. If you make a change to the sample residence or this house 2020 in this box right here, it will update all of your title blocks in that project. So if I make a change to this and say this is house 2023, and I go back to the first sheet, that will now say house 2023, right? So that's going to update on everyone because it's essentially your job name and job number. And then underneath that, you have your sheet name and sheet number. Okay, so let's go, and I'm going to delete that, and then let's go ahead and just build a new sheet. So right click on that sheet, new sheet. And on this one, you'll notice that this is already filled out, but I want to call this one floor plan. And I'll name this F102. All right, and then let's build a new sheet, and we're gonna call this one F103. It already picked that up, and we're gonna call this exterior elevations. We'll build another sheet and call it enlarge plans and interior elevations. And that might be too big for that to read there. So let's just, I don't care. Let's just call this enlarged views. There you go. That'll give you enlarged sections and your enlarged plan views. One more sheet. We're gonna build a view for schedules. And last but not least, we'll build one more sheet for 3D ISOs or enlarged 3D views. Any issues creating sheets? Everyone pretty simple? Cool. All right, you want to see something that's even simpler than creating the sheet? Is bringing the view onto a sheet. Okay, so what I want to do to start with is let's just go to this F102 floor plan, and we're going to start there. And I want you to just drag your normal, it may be called like level 1 floor plan. It's whatever one that's not the enlarged kitchen floor plan, right? So your overall building floor plan, and just drag that over and drop it on the sheet. That's simple. If it doesn't fill the sheet, don't worry. Maybe think about increasing the size of your scaling. Okay, so it might be at 1/4 inch, it might be at 1/8 inch, maybe bring it at 1/2. I'm not sure what you need, right? It depends on how big your building is. 1/2 inch is probably a good scale for your overall plan view, and 1 inch is probably a good scale for your enlarged views. But I'll let you decide whatever you want to make it. Okay. So now let's go ahead and build. How many of you guys have a 3D view still? In your over here in your views, maybe it says like a 3D default or something. Or I don't know what it says. I want you to go click on it and I want you to delete it. I want you to get rid of all 3D views that you currently have, unless you already have some enlarged 3D views that you have created above and beyond by using the book and stuff. We're going to create some tonight, but if you've already got a few enlarged views, don't delete those. Just make sure that we don't have an overall view right now. We're just going to create a 3D view just to show you how to create one from scratch. So if we don't have, so we should have no 3D views here, or if you have an enlarged view, enlarged 3D, you probably don't, realistically. Is there anyone, let me just ask, is there anyone with an enlarged 3D view already, or a call out? Okay, cool.
Graham, how do you change the scale of your drawings to get it to fit better?
You can change it down here in the corner. If it doesn't have a view template applied to it, if it does have a view template applied to it, so like if it doesn't, you can change it right here, right? I can just change that scale to something that'll fit. If it does have a view template applied to it, let's say it was in here, it would show up at the top of your view template that you can.
I was double clicking it and it was taking me to a weird page.
Gotcha.
All right, thank you.
Just FYI, for those of you now that have placed a view on this sheet, this view is still editable. If you want to get into the view, it kind of acts the same way as like paper space and model space. If you took AutoCAD and know a little bit about that. Right now we're on the sheet. If you want to work, so if I zoom into this view and like click on this toilet, I can't click on anything because when I click on one thing, it actually selects the view. If I double click that view, I'm now inside of that view and I can actually activate it and model things and, you know, still working there while it's on a sheet. Okay. So, but if you're struggling to get into it or get out of it, you can always right click and either deactivate or right click and activate view. Okay, so if the double click doesn't work and you can't figure out what's going on, you can right click and get out of the view that way. So let's go up here to this lovely doghouse looking guy. This 3D view right here. or if you might have it in the very top in your quick access toolbar, maybe up there as well. But we want to go to 3D view and we want to click default 3D view. And it should just bring you a view that looks something like this, right? Maybe you have a roof on your house, maybe you don't. If you do, great. If you don't, that's fine too, right? It doesn't, a roof is not a requirement. We kind of quickly went through putting one on last week. But like I said, it is definitely not a requirement to have a roof. All right, so you should have some type of a 3D view. And if you click on any one of your corners of the view cube, it will change the orientation of how you view that, okay? If you hold shift on your keyboard and your middle mouse wheel, you can orbit and kind of rotate it however you want, move that view around. And then last but not least, if you click an object on your 3D view and then hold your shift and mouse button, it will actually orbit around that object as the center point. Okay. So what we want to do is let's go ahead and come up here to this top corner, and I clicked that top corner right here and it was still selected on an element, so it zoomed right in on it. So if you do that and it zooms in, go ahead and deselect an element. And so it has nothing over here except your 3D view and your properties, and come up and click this corner between front, right, and top. And it will take you back to the entire view. All right, so now what I want to do is make sure, right now we're seeing the entire view. And if I drop this view on a sheet, since there's no crop on it, it would just be massive, okay? So what I want to do is I want to come over here and click this crop region visible. And in this time, the first time I click it, it actually activates the crop view as well. And I'll now see this square on the outside. If I click on that square, I can now pull that in a little bit and crop my view a little tighter to my house. So let's go ahead and crop your view, you know, something like that, right around the outside of your house. And if you want to get fancy and put this into shaded or something, you could do that too, you know, I don't care. And if you want to orbit this a little bit differently, we can turn off these level lines in a VG, so you can use your visibility graphics to come in here, annotation categories and levels, and you could turn those off if you wanted to have a more front view without showing that in the background. So whatever you want, I don't care. Just make sure your view is cropped around your house, not super tight. So it's, you know, right next to it, give it some room to breathe, but we don't want a ton of room either. Okay, so nice margins and whatever orientation you want. And I'm just going to go ahead and make it that nice 45-degree top front right ISO. And you now should have a view over here in 3D views, and it's called probably just 3D with a bracket around the outside. And I'm going to rename this 3D house. And once we have this nice and cropped tightly, again, not super tight, but we don't want to have a ton of excess border hanging out. Let's go to our sheet F101, our 3D overview sheet. And now that the sheet's up from our project browser, go ahead and click 3D house. And just like the last time, drag and drop it. And you'll notice, oh man, it's super small. Click into it. Let's change that scale. Okay, so, oh wow, that's way too big. Okay, maybe ½ inch is where I want it. And ½ inch might be right. Okay, it might be wrong. Whatever you need to make it fit, let's go ahead and use that. And you'll now see that you have a box around it, right? And my box is kind of hanging off the edge. I could take this box and crop it in. a little bit tighter if I wanted to. But if I'm happy with the placement, I don't want to see that box, I can go ahead and click on this view and keep the crop on, but turn off this crop region visible. And that will hide that outside of that box. So when I click off of it, I just see a nice house, nice and clean. You'll see one more piece of information, and that down here is what's called the view name. Okay. And it may be super long, it may be really short. This is one of my biggest pet peeves about Revit, is why they can't make this shaping this handle a lot easier, but just listen to the instructions and you should be okay. So this handle, you can grab it and you can move this thing around. And sometimes it's super long and sometimes it's really short and sometimes you just really need to change it. So if you drag from the right-hand side to the left-hand side, it will bring up this little node that allows you to drag that bottom bar. So if that bar is hanging out here, it looks like you can actually now, in the new version, this is much better. Looks like you can now click. Oh, maybe they've solved what I've been looking for them to solve finally in 2022. You can now click the view and that node looks like it shows up. So that's super awesome. Easy to get to. Before you had to drag from the left and select just this section to get that to show. Any questions there with throwing your 3D view on your title block? Cool. All right. We're working right along. Let's go ahead and do a couple more quick things. We'll take a 5-minute break and then we'll get back into it. Okay. So earlier we created this awesome little enlarged view, right? We created a view that shows up on our floor plan and it shows up here, but it doesn't have anything that it is telling you where to go. And that's because this callout has not been thrown on a sheet yet, okay? You'll also notice that if you go to that callout, these section heads also have a view or a name that has not been assigned to it. So what we're going to do, and the only way to assign a detail number and a sheet number is by throwing this on a sheet. So we're going to go to, we're actually going to go to sheet F104. And we're going to go to this sheet called enlarged views. And what I want to do is simply, same thing we've been doing, right? Take our floor plan that we want, our enlarged kitchen floor plan, drag it over, drop it on the title block. Now I'm going to take my enlarged kitchen elevation, drop it over, put it on my title block. Okay, maybe this is a little too big. Okay. I could come to this enlarged section and I could bring this down to 3/4 inch instead of 1 inch. That looks a little better. Trim that tail a little bit. And last but not least, I'd throw my other section on there. So I now have 2 section views and a plan view on this drawing. We now see that the section heads on the enlarged view now have detail numbers 2 F104 and 3 F104. And if we go back to our F102 sheet, our floor plan view, our callout now has a detail number. So pretty cool. Revit automatically links you, and so you never actually have to fill out a call out. It will just, link you exactly to where it is, depending on what sheet and what detail number that view is. The one thing that Revit doesn't allow you to do is have 2 identical views. So if you did need to duplicate that, and you tried to put that on a different sheet, it wouldn't allow it. It would give you an error, which is all built into their programming. So you can't have two views that reference exactly the same thing. Does that make sense? Yeah, I don't want to call out here that shows me to go to detail 1 on F104 and have it go to detail 12 on F14, right? So it just wants to call it out in the one spot that it's located. All right. Okay, we're going to do one more view and then we'll take a quick break, get back into exterior elevations and some schedules. Hopefully be done with lecture by 8 o'clock. And then we'll hang out until 8:39, whatever you guys want to do. If you've got questions, it'll just be open loud for you to work on your assignment. Okay. All right. This is probably one of the coolest features of Revit, and it's actually creating a 3D view using an enlarged view as your base. Okay, so what that means is we're going to create a 3D view that only shows the 3D elements and the 3D floor plan and the 3D cabinetry and casework of this kitchen. So this view is going to match exactly the enlarged view that we're seeing, enlarged views we're seeing here on F104. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to come up to our view tab in the ribbon and click 3D view. And again, we're going to create a brand new default 3D view. And it should look similar to something you've created already. It'll probably just call it 3D in brackets. And let's go ahead and rename this enlarged kitchen 3D. All right, so this step is important. If you want to make, we're only going to do this once tonight. If you want to make more than one enlarged view, if you notice that, like I think on my PDFs, I think I've got enlarged views of like the kitchen, the bathroom, master bathroom, family, the game room. So by all means, you don't have to just do this one kitchen. However, this is what we're doing for right now for our example. So what we want to do is, now we've named this enlarged kitchen 3D. We want to orient this to our enlarged kitchen floor plan view. So if you come over to the view cube, and down here, you'll see this little drop down, or what's called a context menu. And if you click this down arrow, it brings up another menu that you can now orient to view. And we're going to follow this pathway from orient to view to floor plan to enlarged kitchen floor plan. And once you're there, go ahead and click on it, and it will reorient you straight up and down and crop your view with the same crop that your enlarged floor plan has. If we now go ahead and click a corner of that view cube, you'll now see that kitchen comes back up. And maybe that's not the best direction, right? That I want to view that kitchen. I can't really see a whole lot from there. So maybe you want to choose a different corner. And in this case, the back right and top corner is what I want to view, because it gives me a view looking at my south and my west wall. We could go ahead and put this in consistent colors or shade it, right? Make it nice and pretty. Right now it's an 1/8 inch scale. We'll leave it there for now. Come down to our lovely enlarged 3D views title block. And just like the last ones, drag and drop. And I'll put it right in the middle of the sheet. And okay, that's really small, but maybe I want to have a few views on here. I don't want this to be the only view. So maybe I'll put this into 1/4 inch scale. Yeah, that still seems a little bit small. Maybe I'll put this into 1/2 inch scale. Okay, that looks good. I can now include, 2 or 3 views on this sheet, you know, if I want to include more, you know, please do so. At minimum, we need to have at least one view right here that shows the 3D enlarged. And we need to have one view that shows your entire house 3D overall, right? If you don't have a roof on it and it looks like that, that's cool too. And if you want to take the roof off in your plan view, you could always go to your visibility graphics, your VG, and come down here to roofs and turn your roof off. Any questions real quick? Okay, last but not least for this 3D view, for the enlarged 3D view, right here, let's get back to. I had some stuff where I made, and it may not be useful for this view right here, but let's say I expanded this view down and I caught a big wall and I wanted to view through this wall. Okay, with your VG settings, you can make this look however you want. So if you want those walls to be transparent, you could come down here to your walls and put a transparency of, you know, 60% on them. And you can now see through those walls a little bit, right? I can now see that chair through the wall. If you want to change the way that maybe you're seeing your roof in this view, right? Maybe this is coming all the way up and not cutting off, but you don't want to see that roof, right? You could come down here and turn your roof off. So anything that you want to turn on or off, it's an option. You just have to go through your visibility graphics menu to do so. And now that I've messed this up a ton, I could either come back and, you know, move the, I could move the crop view back by dragging those arrows, which is what I did to make it bigger. Or I could come back here to our context menu, orient to view, floor plan, enlarge kitchen floor plan. It will reset it. I can reorient it, and I'm back in the right order. Any questions? Ready for a 5-minute break? Okay. Let's meet back at 7:20. And yeah, we'll have some more fun. If you have any questions and you want to hang on right now and ask them, you're more than welcome to.
Yes, I have one.
Yes, Bernice.
What size not windows, but walls, exterior wall did you use?
On this one, I just have a generic 6-inch exterior. Any of these exterior walls are fine, right?
Okay.
Exterior, generic. To be honest, anything except a wall that says interior, I'm okay with.
Okay, thank you. Because I took the brick was way too large, way too thick.
Gotcha. Yeah, by all means. And you can do this. You could, if you've got brick everywhere, okay, and we want to change that, you could go to your, probably the easiest, go to your floor plan and select that wall, and you could do a right click, select all instances and entire project, and you could just click the drop down and go ahead and change the wall type.
Okay.
Okay, it might give you an error or something. I'm not sure. I changed it from a thin wall to something that was super thick.
Okay,
But,
thank you.
You can change multiple elements at once like that.
Okay, and then I have another question about the kitchen.
Sure.
So you pick cabinets one at a time, and then you assemble the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
I wasn't so
cabinet.
sure, and
So in this one, let's go to, so like I put a cabinet in and I copied that cabinet down 2 times or 3 times. Then I put a dishwasher in, then I put a cabinet in here that had didn't have a top on it, so I could put a sink top on there.
Okay.
And then I put a countertop on top of it that already had a sink in it.
Okay.
And then,
And then
these
the fridge?
these cabinets were by themselves as well.
Okay. I'm just a little bit confused because if I try to load the family, I wasn't finding a fridge like a normal fridge. It was just like more of a commercial fridge that I was
I don't
finding.
care. Throw it in.
Okay.
That's fine. I mean, it's if you can't find exactly what you're looking for, but you have an element. Let's say you're
That
looking for a
works.
super fancy stove, but you spend 2 hours looking for that stove instead of just dropping in a stove that you could have found, right? I
Mhm.
don't want you to get stuck on that kind of stuff. Again, my
Okay.
stuff might be from an older versions of families, right? Because I built this project like 5 years ago.
Ah, okay.
So
Okay,
it
that
just
makes-
but if you come to the insert load
Yes, I
Autodesk
was-
family, you should be able to find anything you really need in here.
Well, I typed fridge and there was just a commercial fridge. So I was wondering if I wasn't in the. Yes, that's what I was finding.
Okay. So, and that's fine if you just that's what I'm using right there. That's my fridge. I think that's the same. Let's see. Let's see if that comes in here. Is it the same type of element? Fridge single door. Okay, put that in there. I don't care. Yeah,
Okay. Perfect.
whatever.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you really care to put something in, you can always go to BIM object and find anything that you want. You got a
Okay.
BIM object. Again. I can get anything I want.
Okay.
I can have a fridge with a wine rack in it, and I can come to here. I'm in, and I could come to, let's see what this is. Download, I could come down and choose the Revit family. Where's my Revit family? Right here. Download that. Bring this up and drag that in. And there you go. So there's that fridge with the wine rack.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. All right, do I have everybody back? I see a couple cameras starting to pop on. Do we need a couple more minutes? I don't care if you guys do. All right, 30 seconds and we'll start. All right, is my screen still sharing? I think it is. Cool.
Yep.
All right, so last but not least, we've got two things left. We've got some elevations to put on, which are pretty much the same as the sections that we did. And we have some schedules to build. What would you guys like to start with? Do something different or do something that we've been doing the same thing of and we just knock that out? No preference? Okay, we'll just go ahead and knock out our exterior elevations. So you should have some elevations already created. By default, the project browser or the project comes with elevations that are already built. And you'll notice that I've got a few of them right here. And what I want to do is I want you to go ahead and let's pick our, I don't care what elevation it is. Let's just pick one elevation with some windows and doors on it. All right. So once you have that up, let's go ahead and just take a look at some dimensioning on this. So DI on your keyboard or modify tab. Sorry, the annotate tab, align dimension. Okay. And you'll notice that it may want to snap a dimension to something that's not the very edge of that wall. If you hit your tab button, you can get the very edge. And I want a dimension and just build a string all the way across that picks up every window and every door. And so you're picking up each side of each window and each door and then back to the other side of the building and then click in any open white space to set that dimension. And there may be some areas like this that it's kind of a little bit, you got 3 foot 6 inches, 3 foot. You can click on this dimension and grab the dimension that is in conflict, that's overhanging the dimension lines, and drag that up a little bit. You can drag it there, you can drag it over the top of it. I don't care. Whatever you want to do just to make it a little bit neater and make it so that way you can see exactly what's going on.
Can we delete it?
Can you delete what?
That little measurement that you were grabbing?
Can you delete it?
Yeah,
You
just that
could.
one.
You could if you edit the witness line, but I want to make sure that that dimension's there so we know where to install your windows, right?
Okay.
If that dimension's not there, and you just give me a dimension of this window, right? I know it's 3 feet wide, but I don't know, maybe unless you have another dimension that's coming off this edge, if that 6 inches isn't there, and maybe I don't have this one going all the way here, right? We just need to make sure it's buildable. So
Okay.
I'd recommend just leaving that dimension in the string and then just bringing it up if you need to.
Okay.
And then let's go ahead and do the same thing with your windows. Again, you could bring that out. This one's a little more obvious what's going on. You don't have, like, this one is the one that's really, you can't tell what's going on there, right? The 6-inch, you kind of could. This one, I don't know what's going on. So I make sure to pull that up. If you've got a dimension like this where it's pretty obvious, it's overhanging a little bit, I don't really care as long as I can tell what's going on, right? So let's go ahead and dimension any different height elements. So this one is, that door is a little bit different. I don't necessarily, without having a center line, know what the elevation of that and know that it's the same as that one. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in a dimension, even though it might be the same. Without a true center line, we don't know exactly where that lives. So, and again, we want to give that not only dimension to the top, but also to the bottom of the cell. So something that looks like that, is it perfect? I don't know, right? You make it look as good as you can. I'm not going to go through dimensioning the other views, but what we are going to do is go ahead and make this shaded or consistent colors. And then I want to build a view template. So let's go up to this, to view in our ribbon, go to view templates, create template from current view. And we'll type in here, elevation, or maybe exterior elevation template. And same thing as before, we can go ahead and click OK, but we still need to come back and assign the view. But instead of just assigning the template to this view right here, let's click all of our views in our project browser. So if we click the top one and hold Shift, we can click the bottom and select all 4 of those exterior elevations. It also holds Control and click and select them. But let's get all of those exterior elevations, and we can come here to the view template and assign that view template for exterior elevation to all 4 of them at the same time. So if I go ahead and click apply, I now have it shows me up here that I now have this view template assigned to 4 different views. So if I go back to a south elevation, it's already shaded for me, right? I might not have my dimensions on there, and I won't have my dimensions unless I've already dimensioned it, right? But it's gonna appear the same way as the elevation view that we just put the template on. Does that make sense? So let's go ahead, go to our, just like we had before, go to our exterior elevation title block and just drag them in. So north, east, south, west. And I don't really care what order they go in as long as they all fit on that sheet. Okay, so again, these number references now come back now that we've got these put on a sheet. And if we go back to our floor plan on sheet F102, you'll now see that these exterior elevations have a detail number that's viewing detail 4 on sheet F103, right? Detail 1 on sheet F103. So everyone got something like that? All right. Cool. So we may finish a little early. Again, if you want to hang out and you want more info on anything, we can go over it again. If you want to watch this video again because you didn't quite get something, please do. I will post it it should be posted first thing tomorrow. This one's a little longer and we'll probably have to go on YouTube, so I'll get that processing tonight. So let's go ahead and build a couple schedules. I'm going to go ahead and build a window schedule and a wall schedule, but I I'd like to see a few other schedules as well, right? So maybe build one that shows your appliances, maybe build one that shows your furniture, right? Schedules are pretty easy. We'll go through it, and the same basic principles that we're going to do tonight for windows and walls apply to all your schedules, right? So let's come over here to schedules and quantities in our project browser. And if we click on it and right click, we'll get this new schedule and quantities at the very top. And you can create a multi-category schedule that kind of schedules all types of things in one. However, they're not really efficient. And the individual category schedules work much better. So let's go ahead. You can type in W to get down, and let's go ahead and go down to Windows. And we're going to create a Windows schedule. It's already named it Windows schedule, so we can just leave it as that. And we can go ahead and click OK. So when we click OK, it's going to bring up another box, and it's going to bring up the schedule properties. So this is the fields that are available for Windows. Okay. So pretty much we want to know maybe the type. And it might be good to show family and type. Then we want to know maybe the, let's look at the height of it. So height of the window. And once we click and select the field we want, we use this green add parameters button to bring it over to our schedule. So this is the fields that are available. This is what we actually want to build in our schedule. So we'll add a height, maybe we'll add a width. And last but not least, let's add a count. I always like to add a count. You can do it in the footers and stuff, but it's just nice to have a count in columns. And let's go ahead and start with that. And if we need to add something, we can always come back and add more parameters. Okay, you're not stuck with this. It just gives you a starting point. Okay, so go ahead and click OK. And you'll now see this window schedule that comes up. And it's cool, right? But is this super useful for me, the way that this is laid out right now? If I went to order something off of this, would I have a hard time? Or do you want to add all those numbers back up? So right now it's showing you the family and type, right? I've got a fixed 36 by 72 inch window. It's 6 feet high by 3 foot wide, and there's one of them. Well, right now it's itemizing every single one of those instances into its own line item. And so if I gave this to somebody, they would look at this and be like, oh, well, why didn't you just add these together? So let's go ahead into our sorting and grouping tab. And by default, every time you create a schedule, this itemize every instance is on. Okay, it's just going to show you everything that's there. But we don't necessarily want that. We want to turn this off, and we want to sort by the family and type. And if we do that, and we click OK, it should now automatically add all those together. Has everyone got a schedule that looks like that? Kind of a collapsed version of what we just had?
If you had it the extended way, would it be fine if you just put down like a number? Because usually you'll have be like, this is door 1 that's in the living room, door 2 that's in the bathroom.
Sure. And that would be great if you're actually calling out a fixture schedule and you actually have call outs for it. Absolutely. Right. But if I was just going to hand this off to order to somebody, if you're going to do that, right, you would have to have one more step that showed a reason why you were breaking out every line item, right? Because that's useful. It definitely is. But at this point, without having a unique, without having a unique identifier or a window number or, you know, something that tells me that this is where I install this window, which we definitely could have, right? We could embed that information and we could do all of that. We haven't in this class, we just haven't had the time. But you could schedule that, and then as long as that showed, you know, your corresponding window fixture ID, right? Then itemizing it is perfect, right, for your install. So, but for these schedules, let's go ahead and take anything that is the same, take the itemize off, and go ahead and sort it by the family and type, and get the count to actually add up the same type windows. You'll now see that schedule here on in the project browser. If you expand the schedules, you'll now see the window schedule. So let's go ahead and build another schedule while we're at it. This one, let's just go ahead and build a wall schedule. And I just want to build a wall schedule, not a wall sweep schedule. And on this one, I want to do the same thing. We'll do family and type. And we'll do length. And I don't know that count's going to do a whole lot for us, but we'll find out. Okay, maybe I want to do a height of it as well, just so that and there is no height for the wall because I assume they go, maybe it's under, weird. Oh, it's the top offset is what it's going to be. So that top offset would be your wall height. So if I go ahead and do that, yeah, we can just, these aren't built like that, so we can just delete that column. So we just want a length, and this one is probably fine to leave it with a count of 1 everywhere, because we're not going to have, you know what, it looks like we've got a couple of them. Check this out. So if we come here and take the itemize every instance off, and we want to sort by family and type, but then we also want to sort by length, and we have a count, it will now show that I've got 2 50-foot walls, 2 30-foot walls, a couple 3-footers, a couple. So it does, I mean, anything that's a square room might have 2 walls that are the same length, right? So you might, or a rectangular room. So you might end up with multiple walls that are the same length. So itemizing it might be a good idea in this case, right? So sort it by the family and type, the length of the wall, the quantity of the wall. While we're here, let's go ahead. Any questions on that real quick before I move to a door schedule? Okay, last but not least, let's go ahead and build a door schedule. Again, you can build furniture schedules, you can build casework schedules, you can build countertop schedules, which would probably be in the casework, but you can build a schedule that does, you know, whatever you're trying to schedule, there's a schedule for it, right? So if it's an item and you want it to show up in a schedule, you can probably build one. All right, door schedule, let's go ahead and click OK. Same as before, let's go ahead and add a family and type. This time we want to have a height and a width in there as well. A count. And we will click OK. And sorting and grouping, we'll sort it by family and type. Then we'll also sort it by, that should automatically do exactly what we want. So let's sort it by family and type, turn the itemize every instance off. And we now see, okay, we've got one single glass door that's 6'8" by 3 feet wide. We've got a couple big sliding closet doors. We've got, you know, so whatever you have model, it's going to report what you have, right? Obviously mine's going to be different than yours, but you should have something in there. And if you don't, go drop some doors in your project and they'll show up in the schedule. Okay. So anything that you add to the project will automatically appear in the schedule once it gets added. All right. Last but not least, same as before, right? Let's go ahead and grab this window schedule. wall schedule, door schedule. This is the one sheet that I don't care if you make these super big. If you've just got a couple little schedules in your top corner and that's all you got, that's fine. No big deal. Okay. You can come in here if you want to change the appearance of them. You can change kind of how the headers, and you can change how this whole thing looks. You know, to some, but realistically, if you were to look at that schedule would be massive on your sheet. So leaving it the size that it is probably okay. In the real world, we would include probably a drawing that goes with that, or if it was just schedules, I'd put it on a sheet that was only like 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17, something that wasn't so massive, right? So, but for now, this is plenty big, right? It's still the right text size. It's what we want to see. So if you only have a few schedules in the top corner, no big deal. And sweet, I finished by like 7:45. And we now have 6 different sheets, all with views on them. Okay. And those 6 sheets are what we're going to want to make sure that we have for our final project. Okay. If you just have a model and you don't have any of those sheets, we can only get 8 points. Right. So got to have those sheets and the views put on the sheets. I don't care if you PDF it. I will take a look at it as a whole. I'll look at it as a project. So you can just actually, I'm going to be setting up a Dropbox because the way the school system works and the email, the files get too big. It's too hard to submit them. So I'm going to set up a Dropbox for this class, and I will send out an email giving you access to that. And you should see access to that within the next day or 2. Any questions there? So I just want you to have that submitted by, and I will just be really nice, and I'm just going to say by midnight. Okay. That gives you 6 hours from the time that we start class next week. Midnight on Monday, the 14th. Okay. So Pi Day by midnight. We need our finals turned in. If you want to turn them in beforehand, please don't wait till last minute. Okay. But that is the deadline. After that, they're worth 50%. And I have to do it on the finals. It's just something that I can't give a late final full credit. Right. And the biggest thing, here's the other biggest thing. I have to have grades turned around by like Wednesday morning. So I get 1 day to grade everything. So I spend Tuesday looking through all of your work and grading, putting that together and getting my grades posted for Wednesday morning. So any questions? You guys are free to hang out. You're free to go if you want to. Free to ask me questions, whatever you want to do now. The time is yours. I'll be here until no one wants to hang out any longer. So, and if that's right now, that's fine too. Again, no problems with letting you go. I just want to make sure that if you are leaving now, that you will turn in something that I can give you some credit for. And last but not least, if you are feeling super confident, you are good with your final, you look through it and you say, hey, I feel that this meets all the, at least the minimum requirements, and you want to turn it in and not come to class next week, that's fine too. Okay. Next week, there won't be attendance taken. So, you know, if you want to come and, you know, get some help for an hour and turn in your project, if you want to, you know, come and hang out for 3 hours and listen to whatever the people, I don't care, whatever you guys want to do. Next week's optional if you want to show up. I will be here to help you. Again, I want to make sure that everyone turns in a project with those 6 sheets and the views on them, right?
Hey,
So,
just show me.
Go ahead, David.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
Ask if you could show me how to change the schedules to get to the properties where you could change it from how you want everything sorted. Again, I'm not seeing how, I'm not
Sure.
getting to do it right.
Sure, no worries. So if you go into your schedule, and in order to edit any of the schedule, you can view the schedules on a sheet, right? I can view these here, but in order for me to actually edit anything, I can select it and I can change like the width of the columns, right? Maybe something was doing that. So I could update, the width. But if I want to change like how it's sorting or anything, I can either double click the schedule and it will open it up, or I need to open it from the project browser. But either way, you need to be in this schedule to be able to have access to the fields, the filters, the sorting and grouping and whatnot. So which one did you want me to go to, David?
That schedule properties that you just opened, that windows
Yep.
there, where you're going to sorting and grouping and formatting. I'm not finding that. Where'd you go to get that open?
Are you in your schedule?
Yeah.
Sorting. Do you have your properties open?
Yes.
Do you see it right there? Do you want to share your screen?
I see it. Okay, never mind. No, I see it now. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, sorting and grouping. And again, if you want to, as long as you're sorting by a family and then sorting by, a length or something, you can itemize, you can take that itemize every instance off. If you take that off without sorting by anything, that's what happens, right? So you're not giving it any instruction how to sort it. You're just saying, I've got 19 walls. It doesn't tell me what type of wall it is. It doesn't tell me what length, because I've told it that I don't care that it combines items and I don't care how it sorts it. Okay, so you need to make sure at least you're sorting by the wall type and the length if you're going to pull that itemize every instance off. Okay, other questions? Did you guys get course evaluations for this class?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't see them come. Normally I see them. Normally I give credit for them. I don't think that we need to do it. If you guys want to do it, great, please do. But I'm not going to give a bunch of extra credit for filling out your course eval.
Yeah, I already did it for this class.
Cool.
Because you're a good instructor, and it was easy to fill out.
Well,
Some of the other ones are not as easy. I have to think about it.
I have to say, I don't think that I can match. I will ever meet the comment that I got on my first instructor one. So like every year I get one at like week 11 or 12. There's like a course eval or an instructor eval or whatever it is. But like my first year, they did one at between week 5 and 6. And I think it's just to like see, it's every new instructor always has one at between week 5 and 6. It's a check-in. And I had, oh gosh, who did I have? I had Patrick come sit in a class for a little bit. So whatever, but I remember reading it and there was one comment that said, I like Graham's hair. I don't know what it was. I had like 3 girls in my class. I'm sure it was one of them, but
That's hilarious.
It was like the most random thing. I'll never forget it. And obviously I don't know where it came from, who it came from, right? It's all anonymous, but it was just like, I've had, so many, it was just like, what?
Compliments to the hairdresser, I guess.
I guess. I mean, I don't know if I was actually putting some effort in at the time or what, but not anymore with COVID.
And the wife is like, who is that?
Right? Yeah, exactly. She was laughing so hard when because we were actually reading, we were reading the evals together when we got it. So she was dying too.
Sorry, honey, I don't know. Apparently I have great hair, so good job on marrying me.
Right.
I was just gonna say that I'm gonna stay on for as long as you're on. I'm working on my floor plan right now.
Yeah, if you got
Um,
questions, by all means. I mean, I'll be here till like 8:30. If you want me to hang out longer and you got questions, I will be. But whatever.
I
you guys
certainly
wanna
don't
do.
want to keep you from your family
Oh,
if you
yeah.
got stuff to do, but
They're all-
I'll stay on, and if I
It's all
do
good.
run
Whatever you
into
guys want to
something,
do, I'm here. So
cool, sounds good.
I'm gonna stop my screen share, and then if anyone wants to share something that they're having issues with or whatnot, I'm not gonna break it into breakout groups. You can just share it and we'll talk through it, or if you have something you want to talk to me about and chat. Later, Mark. Have a good night. Thanks for your hard work this class. Your efforts show. So thank you.
You're still recording.
Oh, I'll turn it off. I was gonna leave it on just in case anyone had a question that like would help other people later, but I'm gonna turn it off just to save space, and then hopefully I can load the video faster tonight.